Let's now weigh in and get some reaction as Zulu monarch King Goodwill Zwelithini has passed away at the age of 73. The spokesperson for the royal family, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, says the king passed away in the early hours of this morning. Zwelithini was admitted to hospital in recent weeks when his glucose levels went up. He was in ICU but was later said to be recovering. The family says his condition took a turn for the worse this morning. Buthelezi says the family thanks the nation for its support and prayers in these difficult times. Meanwhile, the KwaZulu-Natal government has cancelled all activities which were planned for today. It follows the news of the passing of King Goodwill Zwelithini. Premier Sihawukele and the Provincial Executive Council will give an address on the king's passing this afternoon. His Majesty passed away in the early hours of this morning after his health deteriorated overnight. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended his condolences to the royal family after the passing of King Goodwill Zwelithini Zulu. Ramaphosa says the king will be remembered as a much-loved visionary monarch. He praised the king for his contribution to cultural identity, national unity and economic development in KwaZulu-Natal, which contributed to the development of the country as a whole. During his State of the Nation address in February, Ramaphosa wished the king a speedy recovery following his hospitalization. For more reaction on this, I'm joined by Professor Sihawukele Ngubane from the Royal Household Trust. Professor, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. We learnt very early in the hours of this morning of the King's passing. Let's talk about the significance of this moment and how and what will happen as the tributes continue to stream in.
Thank you very much. For the whole nation, Zulu nation is deeply saddened by the passing on of His Majesty Isilo Samamandla Onke Ungangezwelake. We were all shocked this morning to receive the news.
And when it comes to the significance of the moment, this terrible passing, we heard President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that this is a man who made tremendous contributions in the Zulu kingdom, but in South Africa at large. Just give us a sense of the merit and the largeness of this significance as the king is now no longer.
The loss of His Majesty is going to create a vacuum for the whole nation because he was a father figure to the whole nation of the Zulu people. And he has left a legacy of uniting the Zulu nation. We remember that the Zulu nation is made of other small tribes that the king Shaka united, and he has kept the legacy of King Shaka Ilembe alive by bringing on some of the customs and reviving customs that were of significance to the Zulu nation. And I think the Zulu nation is known all over the world through his initiative of uniting people of KwaZulu-Natal.
We know that the king was installed as the 8th monarch of the Zulus at a traditional ceremony in Nongoma in 1971. It was attended by thousands of people. As from that moment up until now, what sort of legacy do you believe that the king leaves behind, not only for the Zulu nation, but for the other kingdoms within South Africa at large?
I think he was well respected by other kings in the country, and he has been the figure for the KwaZulu-Natal legislature because he used to open the ceremonies every year and as a holding the nation together. I think he was well respected not only by the Zulu people only, but what I was saying earlier, I was saying that he is known as a unifying figure, because it is not only the Zulu people that he unites. Here in KwaZulu-Natal, he embraced everyone who is an inhabitant of KwaZulu-Natal. So that is the kind of legacy that he is leaving behind as the father figure of the nation, and the whole nation is in mourning.
As the whole nation is in mourning, this is a king whose reign spanned over 5 decades, is one of the longest-serving monarchs in the history of the Zulu nation. And, of course, the procedures and the announcements will also be something that will need to make sure that it abides by the cultural rituals and the procedures that we should be learning of. Just give us a sense of the processes that follow when something as tragic as this has happened.
Traditionally, when a king passes on, it is kept as a secret, but you know that we are living in a technical world now with social media. It is out immediately. That period of the passing on and of announcing the successor is giving the family an opportunity to be first mourners of the passing on of the king. So that is why when this happens, the family gathers together and they decide on who is going to succeed in the throne. And then the only announcement that is made is only when they have taken a decision who is going to succeed the king. So the way things are happening now, it's not what we are used to. But what will happen, the whole nation will be in mourning for the next 2 to 3 weeks until we get directive from the spokesperson of the Zulu royal family, and that is the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. So the process is that we are all going to be in mourning from now till the funeral takes place, which is kept as a family affair.
The funeral taking place, and of course I want us to touch on the succession role in a short bit, but as you speak about funeral arrangements and the manner in which it will be handled, we know that COVID-19 is also a factor when it comes to the manner in which our loved ones are now laid to rest. How do you imagine the impact being felt here?
No, I don't think there will be any impact as far as COVID is concerned, because the funeral of the king is kept within the family members. The outsiders are not allowed to attend the funeral. So even if there was no COVID, there are very few people who would witness the funeral. What happened is after the funeral there are celebrations and memorial services, but the actual burial process is kept within the family members.
And you mentioned succession. You mentioned that, of course, now that King Goodwill Zwelithini has passed on, somebody will need to step into his role. Whose names and who would be next in line to carry the throne?
That is reserved for a family to announce the successor. As I said earlier, is that the whole idea is that there must not be any vacuum. So immediately, now that it's open in the public that he has passed on, I think that will happen very soon, but it's still too early to predict who is next in line. But it is in the hands of the family to predict and announce.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Sihawukele Ngubane from the Royal Household Trust. Also, really just sending out his tributes as the world at large, well, the nation and the country mourns the passing of King Goodwill Zwelithini.